All right, all right. Welcome to the Strong Side podcast. My name's Mitchell Black, and I'm your host. And today I'm rolling solo. We have a really interesting, or I think it's going to be really interesting podcast, and I am extremely excited to share this with you. And hey, don't forget, if you give us a 5-star review on Apple Music or Spotify or wherever you listen to it, man, would totally appreciate it. This is a live podcast as well on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. And if you have any comments, comment them. I'll answer them as we go through it. But without further ado, let's rock and roll. All right, man. So before we get going, I do want to say, I got a little bit of the sniffles, a little bit of a cough. Ain't nothing going on. I'm not sick. I don't know what's going on. But if you hear me cough, I apologize, like right now. So there's that. Okay, but today's episode is called The Road to 40,000 Classes. Now, I couldn't believe it either. I've coached 40,000 classes. I'll explain the math on that here in a second, but I was like, wow, dude. Not only is it 40,000 classes, this is our 40th episode of the Strong Side podcast. And I thought that was quite interesting, quite cool. But I've learned a lot over 40,000 classes. And I wanted to do this to share it, not only for coaches or anybody in the coaching field that might be listening, but to any of our members or any professionals out there that might say, man, if you've done something 40,000 times, I bet you've messed up a lot, but I also bet that you've gotten pretty stinking good at whatever you're doing if you've done it 40,000 times. And I started reflecting on what have I done? I've spent 40,000 hours just executing the task, not counting planning. We're not saying planning of sessions, reflecting on how the session went. I'm saying I've done 40,000 workout classes with people with 40,000 hours in front of people. All right. And so let's explain how that would work. All right. Here's where I got the math from. I got a little sheet down here that this little post-it. I got everything written down. Okay. So I started my career only doing one-on-one training, and I'll explain kind of the progression of that in a second. But, I would train people from literally, my first client would be at 5 a.m. in the morning all the way till I would get done. Dude, I trained a guy one time through Ramadan where they can't eat while the sun's up. So I only trained him at night when the sun went down. And sometimes I wouldn't leave till 10 o'clock at night. Just client after client after client after client. And I did that for years. So literally being booked with clients, working 7 days a week. And I'm not, telling you that you should work 7 days a week. I don't know. I do. I just love it. But 7 days a week, that many clients, that many people. Then when I started StrongSide, literally I was the only coach. And I'm not complaining. I was just literally the only coach. I would coach every class from 6 a.m. until close at 7:45 at night. So I'm teaching 8, 9 classes a day, every day at StrongSide, sometimes 10. And I apologize for the coughing or whatever. Not only have I done one-on-one training and StrongSide, before StrongSide, I taught boot camps. I taught team weight loss classes. This is what we called it, team weight loss. But I taught weight loss classes. I taught team fitness classes. I taught group fitness. Believe it or not, I taught like ab classes. I did take a lot of step aerobics, a whole bunch of, I'm actually very, very good at step aerobics, but I never taught step aerobics. I taught aqua aerobics, swear I subbed in a couple times and taught aqua aerobics. I didn't have my own set class though. I loved spin. I absolutely love teaching spin classes. I taught that. I did seminars I did Why Can't I Lose Weight seminars, or hormone seminars, or supplement seminars, nutrition seminars, you name it. Did all that stuff. I did small group training where there'd be groups of 3, 4, 5 people. I did individual training. I've done everything fitness-wise and training-wise that you can imagine. Promise. And every day, all the time, for years and years and years. And that's how I got to 40,000 classes. So here's what I did. Sorry, I got to keep drinking stuff so I don't cough. I don't know why I got this little tickle, but so to get to 40,000 classes is that's how I accumulated all that. And I kind of did some rough math over the course of, I've been doing this 14 years. So, I did some rough math and it's like right at 40,000. I was like, dang, dude, All right. Well, before I get into all my stories, so the point of what I wanted to do here was share everything, or everything I can fit that I've learned over 40,000 classes. Like throughout all those classes, throughout all the spin classes, all the strong side classes, I did a triathlon training group, like all kinds of stuff. What did I learn? Where were my biggest screw ups? What has it taught me? What did I do well? What could I improve on? What could I share with you in the road to 40,000 classes? All right. So the first thing you need to understand before even going through these stories, and dude, when I go through these stories, I bet you're going to cry a little bit. You're going to laugh a little bit. You're going to be like, whoa, I can't believe it, man. Some of them are pretty crazy, but you got to understand my mentality around learning all these lessons. Is I'm a big believer in commit now and figure the rest out later. That doesn't mean that you need to be reckless, but I truly believe that if you want to do something great in your life, you kind of have to commit to it and lean into it, whatever you define as greatness is. But if somebody comes to you and says, hey, do this, and you're like, I think I can do it. Don't waste time just adding to justifying reasons on why you couldn't do it or what would be dangerous about it. You're not going to have all the answers. That's okay. You just need to know if you can get there and commit now and figure the rest out later. It leads to a level of self-assurance because you have to believe that you can do it in order to get there. And that's the only way you're going to learn. So when I share all these stories with you and you're like, oh man, that's crazy, dude, at some point, I just had to look at myself and say, okay, do I think I can do this? End of story. You're never going to be given the opportunity to do something if you think you need to acquire all the knowledge and skills that it takes. Sometimes the opportunity isn't even there. So you have to go into it and you just have to say, look, the opportunity presents itself. I'm not really ready for it, but I think I can do it. Okay, go get it. And if you win, great. If you fail, great. Because if you fail at something, you'll learn at something. All right. Now, here's the deal: I'll give you two examples of things that I did to start that. So, the first thing was when I used to work for this really big fitness company called Lifetime Fitness, and I was teaching all these group classes, and they started doing really well. And they said, hey, you should be the program manager. You should lead these 3 or 4 group classes that we have and be in charge of their budget and staffing and like all this kind of stuff. And I had never done that before, ever. I'd never even thought about doing that. I'd never managed a single person, led a single program. I had never organized anything. And they said, hey, do you want to do it? And I said, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. I think I can figure this out. Throw me into the fire and I'm just going to learn as I go. It was already a train wreck. So I can't make it any more of a train wreck. I'm just going to learn as I go through it. And then, I had kind of the same example with spin classes. I had all this energy and I was like, man, that looks cool. Somebody doing a cycle class, somebody teaching something like this, that looks awesome. I want to get involved with that. And the instructor said, hey, we have a 4:30 p.m. class on Friday coming available. Would you like that? You got to make your own music. You got to do this stuff. You got to go through these heart rate zones. You got to learn all this training. And I said, man, I've never done any of that before. And she's like, well, can you do it? And I said, absolutely. You just got to go. You got to commit now, figure the rest out later. But it's not like I did it recklessly. I also believe in the Parkinson's law. The Parkinson's law is something will take as long as you give yourself. If you say, hey, this is going to take me 6 months to do it, it's going to take 6 months. If you say, hey, that same goal is going to take me 3 months to do, it will take you 3 months. It will take you however long you give yourself to do it because you'll put pressure on it. So I commit to these spin classes. So what am I doing? I'm YouTubing spin classes. I'm Googling different playlists to make. I'm like 19 years old trying to figure all this stuff out. I'm just, I'm attending other classes. I'm trying to, hey, how do you do this? I'm asking questions because I had pressure. I had a date that I had to go do this on. So I had to learn really, really quick. Same thing with being that program manager. They said, hey, go do this. And I was like, oh, no, I think I can do it, but I have no idea how to do it. So I'm learning and making phone calls and scheduling meetings. And look, something will take as long as you give yourself to do it. So if you put that timeline on yourself, you're probably going to squeeze out a lot of good things and you're probably going to get a lot better at it. Okay. So I think if you understand my mentality, you might be able to understand, some of my learning here. All right. So now it's time to share some stories and, I got to cough again real quick. Sorry. I don't know why I got this little like runny nose thing. Okay. So here's the deal. Learning is really expensive. It takes a lot of money and it takes a lot of time. So my goal of sharing all these stories with you is how can I accelerate your learning? What can you get out of this? Hopefully you take something out of this. And I just want to share a couple of things that I've learned. I think I broke it down into 15 different little scenarios that I've learned over teaching 40,000 classes. The first thing on the list, I don't know where I can find them, but I want to go find my first 5 clients. I want to go find my first 5 clients. I want to sit them down and I want to apologize. I want to apologize for the experience that you had. I want to apologize for the training that you had to pay for. I don't know what we did together, but it was something else. And I would like to go apologize to my first 5 clients. You know, lesson number 1 that I've learned over teaching 40,000 classes is the lesson of humility and the lesson of you think you know everything. And you think you're the coolest kid in the room, and you think that because you got some good grades, or you can lift really well, or something like that, or you might look a certain way, it means you know something. You don't know anything. You actually, the most dangerous person to train with is the trainer that thinks he knows everything. The best person to train with is the trainer that realizes they don't know anything. They know a couple core principles. And that's who you want to lean into. That's who you want to train with. All right, so I want to go find my first 5 clients and apologize. And I want to tell you a story about my first client. My very first client was a little old lady named Eleanor. All right, I still remember her last name, but I'm just going to use her first name, is Eleanor, right? So here's what's going on with Eleanor is I grand opened Lifetime Fitness in Johns Creek, and we're blowing up, we're powerhousing. It's like, oh man, this thing's gonna be amazing. All these people come flooding in, and Eleanor walks up to the desk, and I'm like 19 years old, and I'm starstruck, and she walks in, she goes, "Hey, I'm ready to get a trainer," and I said, "Heck yeah, I'm your man." Because what did I say earlier? Commit now and figure the rest out later. I'd never trained a single person in my whole life. I'd had a lot of education. I went to school and I had these certifications. I thought I was the man, but I signed Eleanor up. And most of the time somebody comes in, they want to train once a week or something like that. And that's cool, but it doesn't really fill your schedule. And Eleanor comes in and she says, "I would like to train 4 days a week." Dude, nobody trains 4 days a week. I was like, oh man. And she's like, "I want to buy a heart rate monitor, and I want to get this metabolic testing, and I want to get like the whole package." Like, she just walked up and bought everything. And I was like, whoa, man, she just made my whole paycheck. And I got a client 4 days a week for like life. All right. So I'm super pumped. I put her in my schedule. Back then we didn't have iPads. So I had a writing schedule, right? And I put her in there and I'm like, "Eleanor, Monday, 8 a.m. or whatever." And I didn't plan jack. I didn't plan nothing. Like, let's say it was a Wednesday and I scheduled her for Monday. I was just celebrating that I got a client 4 days a week. I didn't think about nothing on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm like, great, I'll see you Monday, 8 a.m., Eleanor. Cool. Had no freaking clue what I was going to do. And none of that crossed my mind. And Eleanor came in on, let's call it Monday, 8 a.m., and she walked up to the training desk and I was like, "All right, Eleanor, you ready?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I turned around to walk out to the fitness floor, and it just hit me right then. I said, "Dude, I have no idea what I'm about to do with this person." No clue. I mean, literally no clue. We were out on the floor, and I'm like looking around at other trainers. I'm like, okay, that trainer's having their client do a plank. So I don't know. I guess we'll do a plank. Hey, Eleanor, I don't know, like 30 seconds. Like, is that cool if you do that? And I'm like murdering this. You guys ever gone to like an LA Fitness and you see a trainer back to back to back to back and they never have a clipboard? Yeah, let me just tell you how much they're making that up the entire time with every single trainer or client on the fly. I was that guy, 100%. Lesson number 2 is I learned how to plan. I learned how to plan and how to understand that you need a highly curated plan. If you want to increase the longevity of your clients, if you want to increase the longevity of your business, then planning to fail is failing to plan. And you can be excited and all that kind of stuff, but the lack of applicable knowledge I had punched me in the mouth. I knew all about how muscles contracted and what happens when you get out of breath and fat cells and blah, blah, blah. I didn't know anything about plan and program design. And Miss Eleanor had to suffer through it with me. She was a super sweet lady. She had to suffer through it with me until I learned how to program for clients and how to set up ahead of time and how to make sure that when they show up, they have a really good experience. Eleanor also taught me functionality. You know, I trained Eleanor and she was getting ready for a trip to Africa. And I just remember training her. And I was like, look, this lady, she was, you know, a little overweight. She's a little older. She was like 65, something like that. And she's like, me and my husband want to go through Africa. And I didn't have to be a scientist to learn this, but I was like having her do bicep curls because, you know, I learned that in a textbook. And I was like, dude, how is a bicep curl going to make her any better at hiking through Africa? Like, that's not going to help anybody. So I started looking at different machines and different exercises and different things to do that we could do in the gym that would make her better outside the gym. That really resonated with me. I was like, dude, training is not just your client shows up and you go through this session and, you know, a textbook said do bicep curls. Working out for the sake of working out isn't cool. Working out so you can go enjoy your life is cool. If you're training in the gym to only train in the gym, to only have a body that is good in the gym, you can't go enjoy Africa. And, you know, obviously, as I'm telling you the story, and she bought all this training, you know, she was really well off. She owned this really big company. She went and kayaked through Antarctica. She went and hiked through Africa, like all these like amazing stories. But I had to train her to have a body that was capable to do that. So Eleanor taught me two really good things. She taught me that you need to have program design and you need to get out of the textbook and you need to have functionality to your training. And you need to make sure that what you're doing in your training is going to make your clients do really well, all right? Not just have a gym body, which leads me to the third lesson. I said I'd have like 15 lessons. You know, one thing I learned through teaching 40,000 classes is I remember getting started in training. And at StrongSide, one thing that I'm really proud of is every Tuesday we have Transformation Tuesday. And I judge a lot of the company's health based on how backlogged we are in Transformation Tuesdays. And I'm like, dude, if we could have like a whole book of Transformation Tuesdays and we have like a waiting list of people to get in, wouldn't that mean that your business is doing really well rather than looking at other financial metrics? How about you just make so many people so freaking fit that we can't post your Transformation Tuesday for 6 months because we have that many lined up to post, right? So I remember training people and I remember looking around and at this time in my career, I had started getting pretty good at getting clients. Like, you know, I was packed. Like I had 22 clients training 3-4 days a week. Like, you know, I'm booked. Like I was never at the desk, right? So I'm never at the desk, which means I'm never sitting, which means I'm always busy. It was client after client after client after client. And that was cool. But then at some point I had to stop and I had to ask myself, I said, hey, dude, are they just buying your energy? Like, are they just buying like the fact that you smile when they're here and you make them feel good? Or are you actually doing something? And I started looking around at all the other trainers that I worked with, and they would all just be like, man, look at so-and-so. You know, they wouldn't be as busy as me, but they would say, oh man, my client lost 30 pounds. My client, like whatever. And I was like, dude, this person is just struggling to connect with people. So what am I? Am I a better trainer or am I a better people connector with her? Right? And I would look at all the other trainers that had all these clients that looked different, and my clients didn't look any different. And it didn't sit well with me. And I was like, dude, how come all these other people that aren't as busy as me have all these clients that lost 20 pounds, that they've been with them 3 months and they can do stuff? I'm just the energy guy. I said, I'm just selling high energy and a whole bunch of repetitions, and I'll see you Tuesday, Thursday at 6 a.m. I didn't want to be that guy. And what that lesson taught me was how to be ethical in what you're offering. And it's not like I wasn't trying to be ethical. It's not like I wasn't trying to have them reach their goals. But what I noticed is, was I actually having the hard conversations with my clients? Was I talking about nutrition? Was I actually making sure they were doing their homework? Did I have them get there 15 minutes early and warm up? Did I write a good program? You see how it's all like coming together now. And I was like, yeah, I want my clients to look different. And that was a big lesson for me. It made me really understand how I need to bring ethics to it. And I need to say, look, if you train with me every day and you don't look different, you're going to know, and you're going to stop paying for it. So I need the job assurance of making sure that you look and feel the way you want to look and feel. That became incredibly important to me. When people would say, oh man, I ate cookies last night. Dude, it's like my job's on the line. Like, that's my job, is to make sure that you're not eating cookies. It's my job to make sure that even though I only train you 2 days a week, you're in the gym another 2 days a week. That became very, very serious for me, was how much I could make my clients look and feel the way they wanted to look and feel. So that was number 3. Number 4, this was kind of funny. This is why I remember people's names. So, so sorry. I am so sorry that I'm coughing so much. All right, so here's the deal. If you walk into StrongSide, like I said, we're on lesson number 4 now. This is why I remember people's names. When you walk into StrongSide, we scream your name. It is so weird if you walk in here and don't remember somebody's name. When you walk in, we should say your name. When you leave, we should say your name. It should be a big party every time using your name. And people are always like, man, sorry. People are always like, man, how do you remember everybody's name? And it wasn't always easy for me, nor did I even really care. So remember, I started as a trainer when I was 18. And at 19, I had this client, and her name was Holly. And we're not going to use last names. We're just going to say Holly, all right? And that is her first name. But anyways, so she was a stay-at-home mom, and her friend, they trained with me. So I trained these 2 ladies in small group training, and I trained them all the time. I mean, they trained with me like all the time. They took my boot camp classes. They took one-on-one. They spent a lot of money training with me, all right? So she's a stay-at-home mom. So in theory, right, like I know different relationships and stuff work different, but in theory, the husband goes to work, makes the money, and pays for the training, right? Like, and if you want to look at it that way, I don't know how you feel about that, but like, okay, so, all right. So I'm training Holly like 5 days a week, and her husband, Scott, I remember his name, but Scott walks by me in the gym, and I don't say nothing. I mean, I'm 19 years old. I don't care. Like, I got way more important things to do than to say hi to some guy that I don't train, okay? So he walks by me. I don't say anything, and he loses it. He doesn't lose it to me. He loses it to Holly, who then comes and tells me about it. But so, I mean, he was like, who's this young punk kid? Who do you think pays his bills? Like, all this, he goes over the top. It was definitely over the top, but it was 100% true. I mean, he like lit into me that I should be talking to him. And I don't care if anybody hearing this is like, oh, that's his ego, or, that was, whatever. That's not right. But was he wrong? No, he wasn't wrong at all. The moral of the story is, yes, I should know you. I should know your name. If I'm training somebody, asking very large financial and emotional withdrawals from them, I should be putting in deposits. I should know you. I should know who you're married to. I should know your kids. I should know what you do for a living. I should know what you did over the weekend. I don't have to hang out with you, but I should know everything about your life. And I was like, yeah, dude, he's right. You can't just sit there and judge whether he handled it the right way or not. Who cares? I was a young little punk. What matters is that I need to know. If I'm worried about my job assurance here, if I'm trying to do a good thing, if I'm trying to make you feel good while you're here, I need to know everything about you. So the best part of that story is 2 years ago. We were flying back from my brother-in-law's wedding. So my wife's brother's wedding. And Scott and Holly were on my plane, and I saw them from across the airport. And I was like, no way. And I was like, hey, Scott. And I was like walking up, and I didn't say it. Like, I wasn't like, I remember your name. Remember, I'm that guy. But I laid into it. I was like, what's up, buddy? Used his name about 400 times. Gave Holly a big hug. It was a good time. It was a funny deal, but yeah, it was a good time. All right. But so the point of that was like, I need to know all this stuff. Right. And that really got me understanding that training was more than just a transaction. It's more than just coming in and walking out and all that kind of stuff, which leads me to lesson number 5. Lesson number 5 that I learned, again, over teaching over 40,000 classes, was when I started learning that training was more emotional than it was physical. I started learning that training was more about the relationships that you build with people. And I started learning that if I can build a relationship with somebody, then I can get more out of them. And I don't mean financially, I don't mean more sessions. I mean, what did I say about point number 2? The goal is to get you to your goal. So if I'm asking that of you, look, I know that I need you in here 5 days a week. I know that I need you to eat well. All these things I know. Then I have to be putting in enough deposits to be able to get those withdrawals. All right. So this lady, Susan, that I trained, I never understood this. Remember, I'm like, a lot of this is when I first started, like 19, 20 years old. And this lady, Susan, came in and I'm meeting with her and I can tell she's a little off in the session. And it's like our first consultation and stuff like that. And I present her with a training package. And I'm like, we should train this many times per week. I think this will help you based on like what you're saying and blah, blah, blah. And she doesn't even care. She's like, I could tell something was a little off. And I almost thought that maybe she was going to start crying. And I slide the paperwork in front of her and, it's like $1,000 a month or whatever. And she's like, she doesn't even blink. She just signs the paper, sends it back, done, cool, let's rock and roll. And I was like, man, that was, okay, cool, great for me. All right, cool. But I didn't understand what was going on. Well, come to find out, it wasn't about the session. It wasn't about training. It was about the emotional connection. Her husband had just died of kidney cancer. And what that lesson taught me was that this isn't a rent-a-friend deal. Like they're not just coming in and hanging out with somebody for an hour. I had an old boss tell me one time that when somebody trains with you, they're paying you to get them to their goals. They're not paying you for an hour of exercise. And I was like, man, that was really impactful. Like we get so stuck in, this person, I'm training this person. I'm training this person. That means I have to have them nonstop exercise for 60 minutes. I'm not saying that you shouldn't exercise, but I have definitely taken clients on a walk and just talked to them because they were about to emotionally break down. I've had cry sessions with clients. It's not that all your sessions should be that way, but you're definitely not trapped into this building block of it has to be squats and burpees and box jumps for an hour, and that's all you can engage with them on. Susan was a great lady. She was awesome, man. And having her go through that and being on the other side of that, where she starts going through that whole emotional look, I don't even want to know what she was feeling, but I do know that all she cared about was having a great emotional exchange throughout that hour, not necessarily how hard did I make her work out. And it made me realize that a lot of the training that you do is centered around the experience that you get. Yes, you need to work out. Yes, you need to feel better. But as trainers, as coaches, we have to instill an experience. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in your life. I said, Susan, that was terrible. Her husband passed away of kidney cancer, but it can be something that serious. It can just be the daily grind. It can be that you're, unhappy with where you work, or your life is stressful, or just something happened, or everything's falling apart in your life. In the gym hour, attending your class at StrongSide was the only good thing that you had going on that day. And then you execute that and you come in. Us as trainers, us as coaches should make sure that your session is not only exercise, but it's about empowerment to yourself, and that you can feel better by coming in and having the experience of a session or a workout or a class. And that was a big, big lesson that I learned, that it's not just burpees and snatches. It's how you connect with people and how you make their life better by coming in and training. All right, what do we got next? Lesson number 6. Being on time requires zero talent. I'll say it again. Lesson number 6, being on time requires zero talent. Not only does being on time require zero talent, nobody cares why you're late. Absolutely nobody. They might say they care. Look, ain't nobody care that your tire's flat, okay? They care that you're not there, all right? So I'm a super, super punctual person. And I'm sharing all these stories because what you see is what you see at the end of 40,000 classes. What people see now is, Mitchell just remembers everybody's names. Well, why do I remember everybody's names? I just shared that with you. Oh, Mitchell's really good at connecting with people, and he understands that it's more than just, physical exercise, emotional connection. Well, what did I just tell you about Susan? Right? Like everything has a story. I didn't used to be punctual. I used to be late all the time. I'll get there when I get there. Okay. And not realizing how important it is to other people. So being on time requires no talent, but it will get you so far. It will put you above everybody else in a different stratosphere. And and it's so easy to do. Like literally, you just set the alarm earlier. You know what I used to do is I used to be like, how many minutes can I get? I'm going to sleep every minute so I can absorb all these minutes of sleep. And then I just had to flip it backwards. And I say, bro, what? It's 15 minutes. You're really going to complain about 15 minutes. Just get up 15 minutes earlier and you can probably not feel as rushed. You can probably start your day in a more effective way. You can, you can enjoy your coffee or whatever you want to do in the morning rather than just starting with stress. And here's how I learned it so I moved to Minnesota and I was working up there and I was teaching these weight loss classes up there because I was working for corporate office at that time. And I left Georgia with a girlfriend and I went to Minnesota and that didn't work out. All right. So I didn't have a girlfriend. And I don't know if it was just like emotionally, I don't know. It wasn't intentional. It was definitely subconscious, but something happened where I just started not really wanting to get up in the morning. I don't know. And it's hard to say that, but I know it was around the time that me and that girl broke up. I wasn't like super sad about it. I don't know, but it definitely was at that time. So I can only help but think that it was like subconscious, that maybe I was like upset about it or whatever. And I had a 6 a.m. class and it started with, I would not print out the workouts the night before. So what would happen is if I taught the class Monday, Wednesday, Friday, ideally on Tuesday, Thursday, I would print out the workouts the night before. I could show up. The workout's already printed off. We put it on their treadmill and they go through the workout and they can see what they're doing. All right. Well, I was like, nah, dude, I'm going to get out here early. I'll just get there early tomorrow, which never happens, by the way. And then I would get there and there would be problems that would arise that the printer wouldn't work. I'd run into problems that if I just did it the night before, I wouldn't have these problems because I'm setting myself up ahead of time and I'm always like living in the future. But I didn't do that. So I would run late. I would get there at like 5:50 for the 6 a.m. class, which is already terrible. Half asleep, hadn't eaten, barely brushed my teeth. Like I'm not planning any of this. I'm like, it's early. Like, bro, they're there. So I should be there. Like if they're going to show up and they're going to work out, I should be showing up and ready to teach them to work out. All right. So I would get there at like 5:50 and then all the problems with the printer would happen. The class would start at like 6:05. Right? Because I'm being stupid. I'm running into like all these problems just because I didn't plan. Actually, really just because I didn't wake up early enough. If the class starts, if I'm running 5 minutes late, why don't I just wake up 10 minutes earlier? It's such a simple thing. Nobody's holding me back from that. Literally nobody is saying, Mitchell, you cannot wake up. All I have to do is get up. Like I'm the issue. I can solve the problem. So so for at least I was there, right? Like, so at least I was there at 6 a.m. It just started 5 minutes late. But there was 3 times that I was straight up late. Like I didn't even walk in the door till like 6:10 or something like that. And another trainer would get my class started and I was a freaking loser. All right. And another trainer would get my class started. I would take over, quick apology and just like rock and roll, like, it was like this young mentality, like they should be thankful that I'm here. Not screw that. And so the 3rd time I walk in, I'm late, and the whole class was on treadmills. And then this one guy got off the treadmill and he went to go to the ellipticals, which were right next to the treadmills. And I said, hey, I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm so late. Why don't you come be with the class? Come in here, hop on a treadmill, let's rock and roll. And he just looked at me and he said, no. He said, look, I'm here at 6 a.m. every day and you're not. And I gave you 3 shots and you've been late 3 times. I don't have time for that. And I deserve the same respect as somebody who shows up to your 9 or 10 a.m. class. You should be here ready for me. So I want to cancel my plan. I want to work out here on the elliptical. Thanks for nothing. Literally said that. Thanks for nothing. And that punched me in the mouth so hard. I had never been late since. Like being late, like nothing else. It was literally on me. And it made me so mad at myself when I heard that, because I was totally like, I'm the only one to blame. I was completely in charge of what time I got there. And so I didn't used to be a punctual person. And you learn the hard lessons. But I'm telling you, if you're on time, it sets you apart. Nobody ever says, man, that dude's on time. That's annoying. Like, no, he's late. That's annoying. Like, when you're late, you're just telling everybody else that you don't respect them enough to be there on time. And that is a big lesson that I learned. I was like, dude, if I show up late, I'm telling everybody in this class, you're not as important. That's just some garbage. It's trash. And I decided right then I was never going to be late again. So hopefully I keep up that streak. But all right, then let's see. Lesson number 7 is lesson number 7. It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. I'll say it again. It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. I was teaching a spin class, and I called a lady out for being on her phone because I thought I was like the big wig, and she left. She left the class. She was like, I don't have to deal with this, and she's out. And you know what that taught me was like, look, dude, it's cool that you think that you're up here and you're like on this pedestal and you're like, oh, this is my class, this is my whatever. But people got real lives. People have real lives with real problems. And it wasn't like that person was being disrespectful. The person wasn't, in the class, like, screaming or hollering or doing something that distracted from the class where it could be justified to be like, hey, that's just not going to work. She was just on her phone. And I felt like she should be paying 100% attention. And maybe she had something going on. Maybe she had something going on with her kids. Maybe she had something going on with her husband or her grandma, or maybe it's a work call. Like, I don't know. But I learned at that moment that it doesn't matter how important I am. It doesn't matter that it's my class. I work for you. I work for all the members. I work for the people in my class. And what I'm trying to do is facilitate a really good experience and teach you some good workouts and have a good time. I'm not trying to control like how you operate your life. And that was a big thing for me because at 19, 20, 21, I'm thinking exercise is all that matters. And now fast forward, I'm 32. I realize that exercise is just a thing I need to do every day to maintain my life so I can go enjoy my life. That perspective shifts a little bit. Which brings me to point number 8, which is empathy. And it's hard to be empathetic. Now, I can understand the empathy piece now because I've lost weight. I've been through the struggle. I weigh less now than when I was 13. Totally get it. But I'm 32. I've never been 52. I've never been 62. And when I was overweight, I was 13. I didn't start losing weight till I was like 14. That's when I lost like 60 pounds or something like that. And so I've never been 50. And I've never been 100 pounds overweight when I'm 50. I've never tried to do burpees after having kids. I've never done any of that. So I have to understand. I have to try to get some type of understanding of what that person is going through. I don't know what it's like. I don't know what it's like to not be able to step up on a box. I don't. I can imagine. I know what it's like to hate myself. I know what it's like at 13 years old to stand in the shower, look down, and not be able to see my feet. I know what it's like to have stretch marks. I know what it's like to, not enjoy the self-loathing that I'm doing around food and having a food addiction. So I can understand that, but I don't understand the inability to jump a rope, right? Like, you need perspective. You need empathy. You need to do whatever you can to grasp what that might feel like. And put yourself in other people's positions so you can understand how they might feel. That's how you can understand what they need to do or what they might be going through. So I was told 3 things when I learned the path to empathy. Is I was having somebody do a towel push and they started crying. And at 19, 20 years old, I'm like, I gave her a pat on the shoulder, and I was like, go get it, lady. You can do this. I, at that moment, learned how the saying, you can do this, is a blanket statement and a false sense of security. That 9 out of 10 times, people are saying, you can do this, because they want you to do it, not because you can actually do it. I realized how dangerous that is, to say to somebody, you can do this, but you don't even know if they're close. You better be really stinking sure. If you're going to empower somebody with that sentence, you can do this. Told this lady, you can do this, push it across the floor. I had no idea what it was like to be 400 pounds. No clue. What did I even have the knowledge or the empathy or the understanding of if she should even be doing this? And then she couldn't. I made her cry. You know how terrible that was for me? Like, that was, forget me, her. You know how terrible that was for her? But like, how much of a jerk I felt like, because I was like, oh man, you know, on The Biggest Loser, they say, you can do this. Biggest Loser ain't real life, bro. You better be very sure. It made me realize how much I had to understand what exercises felt like and what exercises might feel like to somebody that is a certain body type. I better be really sure of what I'm going to ask them to do and really sure of my plan before I move forward with it. I was told you'll never understand. I had a guy that I was meeting with, and I was like, hey, I get it. And I meant I get it, like I understood that he was struggling. He just said, he stopped. He's like, Mitchell, you will never understand how I feel. You will never understand what I'm going through. And it was like, I'm putting my small amount of knowledge or understanding or small amount of experience on his whole life, when I should have just asked some questions. Hey, what's going on? How can I help? What makes you frustrated? What makes it challenging for you? Does like, I should have listened twice as much as I was talking. Because number 3 is, I remember one time I put a vest on a member. I put a vest on a member thinking that it would be a great way to tackle mental fortitude. And I might have been right in my thinking. But I pushed this person beyond a level that they were comfortable with, and I lost him as a client. I said, hey, if you put this vest on, it will make you mildly uncomfortable. And you'll be able to deal with that mild level of uncomfortable. Look, what you see on YouTube, what you see with David Goggins, what you see with motivation works for a very, very small amount of people. Most people have not won at anything. Most people do not win frequently enough. Most people lose often, lose regularly, and are surrounded by negativity. So maybe that person's win should have been just showing up to the gym today. And then what I did is I pushed it too far, and I asked too much of people. What that made me do was start asking more questions. It started making me ask more questions to members, to clients, to get a better understanding of where they are in their fitness journey. And that helped me not take it easy. I ain't taking it easy on people, but I need a better understanding. I need empathy. How do you feel? What is challenging? What is your emotional state? And when I started asking those questions and thinking about those things, I started understanding what I could prescribe to that client. It started becoming less about what I saw on the internet and more about how I could actually help that person individually, whether that was one-on-one training or whether it's like a class setting where we're basically doing one-on-one training at scale. And when I have empathy and learning those hard lessons of empathy, I can start understanding what another person might be feeling. And when you can put yourself in those shoes, bro, that'll change your whole world, and it'll help you change other people's world. All right, number 9. What did I even write here? Oh, here's what I wrote. Always care and give security. This is a funny story. So sorry. All right, so when I talk about always caring and always have security, I'm really, really focused on making sure that everybody who attends every class always feels secure in their efforts, always feels secure while they're in here, and making sure that I can preemptively understand what the class is thinking. So I give you an example. at StrongSide 1.0 years ago, I had a lady walk in and she said, "Hey, I want to try a class." I said, "Cool, that's awesome, man. Let's do it." So I have her sign a waiver. I get her in. I give her no instruction. She's clearly overweight. She clearly doesn't work out. None of that's a problem. But I didn't address what she might be thinking, right? I didn't address how the class is going to go. I didn't give her a tour. I didn't neutralize her anxiety. I didn't do anything. I just threw her on in there. She came in saying, "Hey, I would like to get in shape," right? And then I just throw her into a class all willy-nilly. Swear to God. Okay, so it's not funny, but it's funny. So I explained the whole workout. I explained the warm-up, everything. And so sorry. So I explained the whole workout. I explained the warm-up, everything. And I remember it started with a 400-meter run. That was the warm-up, all right? So I explain it. All right, here we go. This is so-and-so. It's her first day. 3, 2, 1, go. Swear to God, never saw her again. Not even joking. She took her car keys and bolted and started to run with everybody. And then as we went around the parking lot, she got in her car and left. Because what I had explained to her, what I had shown her, was she had no faith that she was going to be able to do that day. So she was like, "I'm out, bro. I got to go." And it's funny, but not funny, but that is terrible. But the point being is that I didn't make people feel secure. You got to make them feel comfortable with what they're doing, with what they're participating in, with whatever they're purchasing. It's all about comfort. Comfort does not have to mean like easy. Like, "Oh man, come to StrongSide where the workouts are easy and the fat sheds away." Dude, that ain't true. You're going to work your butt off and you're going to come every day. That's fine. But I'm going to give you the security that you're going to be taken care of. I'm going to give you the security that throughout the class we can adjust and modify appropriately. I'm going to give you the security that you can show up every day and you're not going to get injured and you're going to feel amazing and you're going to be your best self. So that was a lesson. That was a hard lesson I had to learn. But she freaking took her keys. Dude, that was not, I didn't think that ever happened. It happened. And then lesson number 10, being preemptive. All right. I talk about that a lot, but being preemptive and understanding things. So I'll give you an example. Being preemptive has a lot to do with asking questions and understanding things and seeing where the person might be at. I had a lady when I moved to Minnesota, my first client was breastfeeding triplets and she didn't tell me and I had no idea. So she's breastfeeding triplets, which in itself is not that crazy of a thing. It's just that when you're breastfeeding, your calorie burn goes up. So like the person's metabolism is faster, the blood sugar drops faster. There's like other factors you need to pay attention to. But being preemptive also means that you need to prepare yourself in any scenario that can happen. Like if the building's on fire, like you need to be prepared. If you gotta, call 911, like whatever, right? Well, speaking of calling 911, she's breastfeeding triplets. We come into the session. We're working out. She passes out. Swear to God. Just moved to Minnesota. Nobody knows me. I get a client and I make her pass out. Awesome. Okay. So there's a line of people behind the group fitness studio. They're waiting to get into this class. And there's like this long line. So everybody's staring at me. "Hi, I'm the new guy. This is my lady on the floor. She's cool. Don't worry about it. I got this." And I pick up my phone to call 911 and I just stare at the phone. I was too taken over with fear and anxiety that I couldn't even dial 911. I know what I wanted to do, but I was such in shock because I had never trained myself. What would I do in this situation? I realized that not only could I not dial 911, I didn't even know the address to the club that they were supposed to get to. I was like, well, that's important. I knew nothing, right? So this group fitness class, all these people are in line. This lady is clearly annoyed. Look, not the lady who's passed out. She's unconscious. She doesn't know what's going on. But the lady in the line is clearly annoyed. She's a nurse. She comes over, looks at me like I'm an idiot, grabs the phone out of my hand, calls 911, handles the whole situation for me. 911 shows up. They carry her out on a stretcher. Like, because I was prepared for absolutely nothing. I asked 0 questions. I mean, she said she just had a baby. It doesn't matter if she told me she had triplets or not. I didn't even dig into that. I probably didn't ask her how she felt or curated a plan during the workout. And I definitely had not trained myself for any emergency type situations. Everything that I'm good at now is because of massive failures. I am 100% sure that the building could be on fire right now, and I could calmly get everybody out of here. Call 911, it would be a big deal. And it's because Nancy or whatever that lady was passed out on the floor. She did train to me again, I think once, and I think I asked her in a 30-minute session. I had to have asked her at least 500 times if she was feeling okay. I mean, I swear, like, I was just over the top. I'd be like, okay, we're going to do one sit-up. And she would do a sit-up, like, how you feel? Are you okay? Is everything fine? You're not going to pass out again, are you? Like, I was losing it. And so that was good. That was, learned a lot, okay? Now, I gave you kind of like 10 lessons on teaching 40,000 classes, 40,000 workout deals. And some of those scenarios happened in one-on-one classes, and some of those happened in group classes and stuff. But, I wrote down 4 things. I guess I have 14, not 15. I wrote down 4 positive things that I've learned. So I just gave you 10 scenarios on kind of negative things, not like pessimistic negative, like bad things that happened that I had to learn from. Here's 4 things that I have learned from is training 40,000 classes and being around people for 40,000 hours. It's more than 40,000 hours. I'm saying like just doing the work, just teaching the class, 40,000 classes, it taught me how to love. And that's, when you hear that, you might be like, what is he talking about that? Dude, I still am, but definitely used to be an extremely selfish person where it was all about me and what works for me. I don't want to get up that early. I don't want to be up that late. It's inconveniencing me. Anytime that I was inconvenienced, I didn't want to do it. Not realizing how much everybody else inconveniences themselves every single day. I do not want to do about 85% of what I do every day. I do not want to clean the toilets. I do not want to make phone calls. I do not want to send emails. I do not want to get up at 4 a.m. I want to do whatever I want, whenever I want, but you can't, right? It's not like you can't do that forever, but I can't right now. I got to go do stuff that inconveniences me to reach my goal. And when I started, this kind of goes to point number 2, is how to serve others. How to serve others and be something for somebody else. That's what really taught me like what love is and how to like really take care of other people. When you're something for somebody else, that's really, really powerful. When you're just somebody else, when you're just something, that's not really impactful. That's not really like you're getting the job done. But when to somebody else you're everything, that's a lot. And what made me realize that was I would have clients or I would have classes where, they thought that I just ate like a machine, or that I looked like a Greek god, or like that muscles came naturally, like you name it, right? Because I'm teaching the class, like anybody who does that, like anybody, if you have a teacher, like you're going to look at them in a different light, whether that's true or not. Made me realize that I probably shouldn't eat bad food. It made me realize that I should take care of my body. It made me realize that I should take the supplements that I'm preaching to others, right? That was a big, big deal. Number 1 and 2 on the 4 positive things, it taught me how to love, and it taught me how to serve others and be something for somebody else. And then number 3 is how to see joy for what it truly is and making others happy. That I never learned that until after I went through like point number 3 when I was talking about the Transformation Tuesdays, when I started having clients look different. When I started having clients do something that they had never been able to do. I was, up until that point, I was only judging a client or a session based on frequency. Oh man, I have these one-on-one clients. What does that mean? I teach these classes. They come to classes. Who cares? Like, what are you doing for them while they are here? Are you helping them truly find joy? They are not, like, you're not doing them a favor by being there unless you do something for them. And I was like, dude, when you have somebody jump on a box for the first time, when you have somebody jump a rope, even to this day, people will come up to me and be like, oh my gosh, I did this. I had never done it before. And to see their face light up, that's real joy. Most people experience joy through like, here's a free gift card. I got upgraded to first class on the plane. That's not real joy. That's like a neat thing that happened, but it's not joy. Joy is like when you truly help somebody do something that they never thought they could do. And it lights up your world. It lights up their world. When you're the first person that they run over and tell you about it, and you get to celebrate together, and you're helping somebody else experience life, that's real life. Real life is not pay bills and die. Real life is every day I'm going to do better for me. And when you can help somebody do better for them, dude, that's 40,000 classes. That's probably my favorite thing that I've learned. And then going into 4 is how to understand the world with perspective. I don't have it all figured out. I don't have anything figured out. I talk all the time about I don't know nothing. I'm just trying to figure stuff out. But I do have really good perspective. I really feel like I understand that I try to always pause on each situation with each person and try to see that this person might see it this way, but this person sees it this way. What's the story here in the middle? You know, there's their truth, there's this person's truth, and there's the truth that happens in the middle. And you have to be able to tell your truth, and you have to live by your truth, and you have to see the world in its different lights, and you can have different perspectives. You know, I was talking to this guy about, you know, money perspective, for example, and he said, some people think $60,000 is a bad year. Or I'm sorry, he said, some people think $60,000 is a great year. Some people think $60,000 is a bad month. Some people think $60,000 is a bad week. And some people think $60,000 is a bad day. It's all about your perspective. And I was like, dude, that was good, right? Like, you got to understand different people's level of perspective, what they expect, what they're actually saying, if you're making them feel comfortable enough. And that was number 4. So if I had to recap the 4 things that I've definitely learned throughout 40,000 classes in a positive way is how to love, how to serve others, and be something for somebody else. How to see joy for what it truly is in making others happy. And then how to understand the world with perspective and understanding that, you know, there's no fundamentalism. This is how you always have to do it. No, in fact, if this is how you've always done it, you're probably about to die. Like, it needs to be constantly evolving and constantly growing. So that's it. That's all I got. I hope you liked it. That's the road to 40,000 classes. I can't wait for another 40,000. I want to hit 100,000 classes. I think that'd be kind of cool. But that's the road to 40,000 classes. That's a lot of what I've learned. A lot of emotional connections with people, understanding how people might think or tick or just whatever, and understanding that training is more than just physical exercise. And I've learned through a lot of screw ups, a whole bunch of screw ups. But I've also learned some really, really great things along the way. So hope you liked it. Can't wait for next week. We're going to be talking about nutrition with nutrition coach Bree. She's going to be on. But that's it. Hope you learn from all the lessons. Let's rock and roll.